Hello and welcome to the Green Collar Careers Podcast. I'm your host, Jose Almanzar, and for today's episode, I'm speaking with Christine Yuri, a seasoned attorney with an unconventional path to a career in environmental, social, and corporate governance. Christine is a Chief Legal Officer and Chief Sustainability Officer for one of the largest ESG and sustainability consulting firms in the country. Christine's work is fascinating, and it involves helping companies develop and implement corporate sustainability strategies. Christine also counsels on the legal risks in the ESG space and educates other attorneys and professionals on sustainability issues. In this episode, Christine and I discuss her less than direct path to the practice of law, her work in helping companies address the challenges brought on by climate change, and her passion to make this planet a better place to live. We also dive into some practical strategies for green job seekers and discuss the importance of taking purposeful action. I think you're really going to enjoy getting to know Christine through this episode. Enjoy! Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I am so excited today to have my LinkedIn buddy, soon to be real life buddy, Christine Yuri of NG Impact. Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I was thrilled when you reached out and asked me to come on your new podcast.
So, Christine, I know where you are, but for the people listening, where are you physically located today?
Today, I am in Seattle, Washington, where I am so fortunate. It is actually 70 degrees and sunny. So, right after this, I'm running out to my yard to play with my dog.
Oh, you live such a tough life out there in Seattle. So, Christine and I were speaking for a few minutes before we started recording, and I disclosed to her that Seattle is low key like my number two city, I think, in the world. I lived in Seattle for a few months, and I'm just like obsessed with the summers out there. I don't know if I'd live there from November through April, but you let me know, Christine. Is it just as glamorous and awesome in those months also?
No, but the summers are worth it. The summers are really, I think they're the best in the country because it's sunny, it stays green throughout since it rains all winter, and then it's just, the perfect temperature where you actually can be outside all day.
No, oh my gosh. I remember I was there. It was I was surprised at low humidity, and I don't think it went beyond 82 or 84 degrees once. It was like perfect shorts and t-shirt weather all summer.
Yeah.
Um, all right, Christine, you're at NG Impact. You are, I think, like three or four different hats: Chief
Yeah.
Legal Officer, Chief Sustainability Officer, General Counsel, uh, Chief Content Creator, probably. Like, first of all, what does NG Impact do? Let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. So NG Impact is a part of the NG Group, which is a large, multinational national energy company. And my particular part is really specialized in consulting in digital around decarbonization. So we work with Fortune 500 companies that are global, have multiple locations in different countries to help them plan and implement their decarbonization journey.
All right. And has NG Impact always done this? Has the company, or has the company been around, how long has the company been around doing this kind of work?
Yeah. Oh, the company that the kind of core company came to NG was acquired by the NG Group in 2014, and it started with the data capabilities. So for a long time, we have been collecting data from large Fortune 500s on their energy usage. We have a platform where we share that data in a way where that makes it actionable, across their different footprints to take actions to reduce their energy usage or better plan their energy usage. So that business dates back quite some time in for digital when once digital tools were available. And then what we've done is take that, data is the basis of providing it's actually, if you're doing decarbonization, the hardest step is to get the data on where your footprint is currently coming from and being able to track that data all the way along, because you can't figure out where to start unless you know what within your portfolio is emitting the carbon. So we started with the data and then built on top of that the advisory and the consulting services to help our clients really take what we were offering and make a difference.
So have you always been in the general counsel kind of chief legal officer role since you've been with the company?
No, no, I started in 2013 as a legal counsel for, just a entry level legal counsel role for one of the divisions that we had, and then that was after I'd practiced 8 years in a law firm doing, everything M&A and finance and contracts and a lot of different areas, and then I was in that legal counsel role until late 2016, early 2017, I was promoted to the general counsel role. And at that time, our operations were just US based operations. So as the GC there, I ran HR for 18 months. So I had a GC HR role, which I loved actually. So for general counsel, if you get asked to do HR, say yes. That was a lot of fun. And then in 2019, we went through an internal merger where we became a global company, bringing together a lot of different pieces of the NG group that were offering similar services. So at that time, my role shifted again, and I became the chief legal officer over this global group of companies, and kept I have the chief sustainability officer as part of my role, and what that means is I'm responsible for making sure that we are following the advice that we give to our clients, that we walk the talk, we have our own carbon strategy, we mitigate our own footprint, and really try to be as proactive as we encourage our clients to be.
Yeah, it's kind of, I have three children at home, and I am constantly fighting an internal struggle of practicing what I preach with them. So I guess as as a company that is dishing out advice on sustainability and metrics and how to and best practices, it makes sense that you all follow your own advice. So before coming to NG, you were at a firm. Were you doing environmental or sustainability work at that firm?
No, well, a bit ironic. My first legal assignment at the firm, this was 2004. I was, a one of the thousands of associates on the Enron litigation. So I
Oh,
hope to, I hope to defend an Enron director if that's considered environmental. But it feels to me like a little ironic, almost a little ironic twist in my background. But generally, no. I did a couple years in commercial litigation, and it was a business law firm, so business litigation. And then I shifted to our business group and did M&A and all of those things that you do in a transactional business group.
and at that time when you were at that firm, did you have inclinations to do and environmental sustainability, kind of
Yeah.
ESG work? How did that evolve?
Yeah, so I definitely had inclinations to give back in a different way. And I started more on the social side. I was a member of a board of directors for a local Girls Inc. charity for 10 years. I started when I was an associate, and it was a really, it was it was a very transformative kind of role and for me to learn through those 10 years. And there were times when we thought the nonprofit was going to go under and we had to figure out how to save it. I worked with different professionals, but this kind of, I think what I took from that is this idea of being mission driven in what I do. And then that became kind of a gap at the law firm. Like I loved my nonprofit work, but I couldn't, that wasn't really what the law firm was paying me to do. And I didn't feel that same sense of mission with the law firm work. I know some people do, and that's completely valid. Some people find it in their practice, but I just wasn't finding it there for me. And so I left, and I didn't know really what I wanted to do at all. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to do law in any way, shape, or form. And so I took some time. I had coffee. I actually tracked it, and this is when you went and had coffee in person with was more than 120 different people volunteered their time to meet with me, and education and business and every area of government. And I had one coffee, and it was completely transformative for my career. And the person probably never thought about it again in their lives. So I always do these things, but it was with a woman who ran the foundation for Intel. So she was responsible for this tens of millions of dollars of charitable work across the globe. And I just said, hey, that sounds super cool. How do I get your job? And she said, you're a smart woman. Find a job at a company that, whose values you align with, and you'll find all kinds of opportunity. That was it. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then this role just posted at Ecova at that time, and I read their website, and it was about sustainability. It was really, environmental sustainability, which at that point I didn't have experience in, but definitely, okay, that's part of my value system, and I can really get on board with that. So I was fortunate to get that role, and it's been a journey ever since.
That's fantastic advice. And for that reason, I encourage. I get probably 20 messages or emails a year from young people looking to either break into environmental work, or they're graduating from college and they just want to pick my brain. And I'm always I love receiving those messages, and I always make time.
Hmm.
Always. I find the time sometimes it's tight, but I will always make time for somebody that reaches out to me cold, or from a friend of mine or a contact who says, "Hey, I have somebody who's interested in this." For exactly the same reason that you said, you had this one conversation with this one person, and something that they said changed the trajectory of your career.
Yeah.
Um, do you find that, you know, now you took a very aggressive approach. That was over 100 meetings in how many weeks or months?
It was probably 4 months, so it was a chunk of time.
And did you have, like, an Excel spreadsheet with
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
names and
With thank yous and follow-ups and all of that kind of stuff. I was lucky, actually. It was because of my work with the girls' charity that I had a network to start with. So it was from all those other board members that were started me with, like, "Oh, you should talk to this person," or, "Sure, you can say, you know, let them know that I sent you that direction." The people I knew through that charity for various ways, and then I hopscotched my way on through it. And then the super ironic thing is, the job that I found had nothing to do, with in terms of like opportunity finding with any of those. It was an Indeed job description that I just clicked on and like submitted a resume. But I'm not sure I would have gotten the job if I hadn't done that deep thinking.
Yeah, and subconsciously, all those meetings, you picked up little nuggets here and there that kind of guided you in the direction and ultimately to where you landed. So tell us about your educational kind of background. I mean, we got some of your insight from NG Impact and the law firm, but take us through the beginning. What was your kind of educational upbringing, inclinations, and how'd you end up becoming a lawyer?
Yeah. I don't think it's super special. I grew up in a small town. My dad was a lawyer, but like a small town and one shop, with his name out front kind of lawyer. So very, very different. Public school. I was not a good high school student. I didn't play by rules very well at all in high school, and I graduated. I did not have my choice of colleges as a result of that. I spent a year in community college, and then went to a liberal arts college in Washington State called the Evergreen State College, which is really interesting and great prep for law school. It's very, very focused on writing and cross. It's probably why I love doing so many different things now. But they cross-disciplinary approach. So you'll like take one 16 credit course, and it will combine math and history and all of the different subjects together over across a theme. So very unique college education, and very good for law school due to the kind of complex thinking and writing approach. I don't think it bills itself that way, but that's how I found it. And then I graduated and I traveled a bit, and I didn't know quite what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I was very good at the LSAT, so that kind of set me in a direction. And I applied for law schools. I ended up going to Boston College Law School, and I think it was just wanting to do something exact opposite. It was on the East Coast. It was a conservative, Jesuit Catholic institution. It was in a city that I had never been in. Literally, I couldn't even fly out to do an on-campus visit because I had no money. So I just moved there for law school, and it's a good Boston College. It's a good solid legal education, and took off from there. I have to give credit. I spent 1 year in a federal district court clerkship in West Virginia, which was amazing. No matter what you want to do in your legal practice, I always recommend clerking, just because it's, after all of the kind of academic stress of 3 years of law school, it's a really nice way to spend a year.
Absolutely. And I tend to I encourage people, whether they're law students or whether they're undergraduate or and trying to figure out if they want to go to law school, or law students that are graduating and really not sure what line of work that they want to do. The law clerking is absolutely a great, or a fellowship through some organization that you might be able to get funding so that you can pay your way. Sometimes it's a 2-year, 3-year fellowship at a big organization or nonprofit, just so that you can get some real life experience, and some great writing and researching experience. I mean, those clerkships are fantastic, and you get to see how the courts navigate behind the scenes, and that those kind of things that law schools just don't teach you.
Yeah.
You don't know this about me, but I lived in Boston, outside of Boston, for a few years, and I went to Binghamton University. We have a Division I school, great soccer program, no football team. There's T-shirts that are sold around campus. Binghamton University football undefeated since 1969, because, and I really should get one of those sweaters. The first and only college football game I ever went to was a BC Tulane game. It went into triple overtime. It was nuts, and I got to see what I was missing out going to a school with
Yeah.
no football team, no football program. So, all right. So you're in your experience, and by the way, West Virginia. I had a trial. The first trial I participated in was in the federal district court in West Virginia.
There's only one, so that was the court
Yep.
that I did.
Very nice very nice
Yeah.
courthouse. I was
Yes, good.
surprised to see, I think across the street there's like a little diner, or where basically all the judges go, grab breakfast or lunch. And we were there after the trial, waiting for the jury. It was a jury trial, waiting for the jury to give us a response. And the judge walked in with a huge gun on his waist, like a holster,
Yeah.
and like a big cowboy hat. We were all just like, it was like we were like in a different,
Yeah.
we were all from New York.
It was a different work, because Charleston, West Virginia, the court, yeah, the federal court is a big deal that's there, and it's a big enough to where let's say the 20 and 30 somethings community down there, like they recognize the coming and going of the clerks every year, because they kind of come in and out. And we would, I remember walking down the street, and there was kind of a residential area. There's a big party going on, and having somebody yell out from the porch like, "Oh, hey, who are you?" And we're like, "Oh, we're the new clerks." And they're like, "Oh, come on up, you're the new clerk. Oh, you work for Joseph R. Carter, fantastic." And you, like, literally, there was and a lot of them were lawyers, because just they lived in the area, but it was really a fantastic experience.
So, and then you let us know a little bit how you became
Yeah.
interested kind of in the environment. So, one of the things that I like to do with, this podcast is really try to encourage people, either young people that are in school or graduating soon, or recent graduates who are interested in, you know, entering this space, this environmental sustainability, um, climate, working for the environment in a sense, or working for the planet. But a lot of them feel either lost, like they either don't have enough, or the entry level opportunities are so competitive that they're having a tough time kind of breaking in unless they know someone. And I struggled with that. I have struggled with that my whole career because I immigrated to this country from the Dominican Republic. My family, we didn't have a network. My parents did not go to school here, and so we did not have a familial network. Most of my friends growing up are fantastic people, but um, a lot of their parents and family members are blue collar workers. So I struggled to break into this profession, even as a professional. I was fortunate enough that in college I attended a career fair and I was studying environmental studies. And I submitted my resume to a consulting firm that was hiring for entry level scientists. And that's how I got my foot in the environmental, door. But that was even after having internships with the EPA. I mentioned before we recorded that I had done something in Region 10 in Seattle. I also had a Region 2 internship in New York City. Um, and again, I was fortunate that this career fair had this environmental consulting firm. But even with all that, and even with going to law school and doing internships, legal internships, I still struggled to land my first gig out of law school. What is some advice, some actionable things that you feel, if you were giving advice to a niece or a nephew or a friend of yours who's, 18 or 19-year-old was about to graduate and they said, Christine, I'm really interested in climate change and sustainability. I don't know. I don't know where to start or what to do. What
Yeah.
would you tell that person?
Well, first, I'm super biased based on my experience in this in this answer, and all of my experience is on the job experience, and it came from taking that first opportunity with Ecova, and the job I took, it was a legal counsel job. There was nothing. I was at a company that did sustainability, but there was no sustainability responsibility, and I had no sustainability background to it. But I showed up and I was enthusiastic about the mission, and I was asked to. I networked. I'm a good networker, so we've met different people. I was asked to join this group of kind of mid-level leaders who were collaborating with our corporate sustainability leader to develop the company-wide strategy and communicate it, deploy it, and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a volunteer team that I joined at work, and that's really where I got my start. And today that's the corporate sustainability program that I run. Like it's grown, it's more merged, but that's the nugget of where I ran what I run. And over the years, I just got more involved in different ways by putting my hand up. So it's a lot of times people will ask about certifications and training and stuff like that. I don't know. I can list a resource that talks about certifications and so forth, but the best advice that I have for people is to start where you are. So to look around. If you're in college, there is some sort of sustainability activity board, something happening. Put your hand up and go do it. If you're at legal counsel at an organization, I guarantee you this is a hot topic, whether they know it or not. So, learn a little bit about it and go see who's on top of it. And I think about it in terms of, I've read before about how if you the accumulation of if you spend 20 minutes a day every day for a year on something, and what you can do in just a little bit of time every day. So if you think about it like that and not like, oh, I have to have this exact job and be doing this full time right away, then feels a little more achievable, a little more manageable. And those little things that you do at the beginning that show your commitment and your enthusiasm, then, if let's say you're in college and you're really active in that college's environmental program and you put that on your resume when you go for that environmental job, it just kind of it builds that interest over time that shows to your future employers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's really, really good advice, which is boils down to if you find that you're interested in something, then stop thinking about being interested in something and
Yeah.
act upon that
Yeah.
interest.
You don't have to be certified to be interested in it. Like,
No, absolutely. And something I learned, I heard recently was, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to ultimately
yeah,
be great.
yes, exactly.
And I think there's a lot of paralysis by analysis that happens with
Mm,
people, and in large part because there's so much information right now. I
mhm.
mean, any search on the internet will yield um, dozens of hours of reading material or videos or podcasts. So I think um, I think there is a time for research, but then at some point you need to do something with that research and actually be do something productive with it. You can't just sit with that information in your head.
Yeah,
What about for somebody who is I'll call them a seasoned professional, somebody that's maybe has worked for 10 or 15 years as, and for some reason I keep thinking of a bookkeeper or somebody that works in finance or an accountant, who maybe they watched, Deep Waters or some documentary that got them just inspired, or maybe they listened to some podcasts and now they realize, shoot, I want to pivot into this climate space, this sustainability space. Do you have any potential advice, for them that they might be able, to leverage their experience to enter the space?
yeah. So I think that the trick, and this does probably take you need to go out and talk to people that are kind of in your area to figure out where the connections are. But let's just take your accounting example. One of the things, and this very tactical, but that's going to be very critical for companies if you are to decarbonize, a lot of times you have to invest in new hard assets. So you have to have new equipment that's efficient, or you have to deploy a green fleet, or you have to install solar on your site. And yet that piece, in terms of how you manage that financially, how whether it's capex or opex, and you can look at it, and if you have the right professionals, they can tell you, yes, this will save you money over time at this rate, in this fashion, or not, depending on what the case may be. But often, taking these steps to use less energy actually does save you money. But then figuring out how to calculate that, and then how to make it work in terms of the corporation's books, and how they record their financials such that it is makes sense for shareholders, that requires a whole bunch of financial knowledge that, you know 80% of it is what you would just have as a financial professional moving in, and then 20% is, how does it apply to on-site solar. So it's closer than you think, if you start from where you're at and look at what those connections are. But it would probably take some digging and some, picking up the phone or sending DMs on LinkedIn to kind of start visualizing those.
I mean, you said something great there, you said it earlier, and you repeated it as kind of starting where you already are.
Mhm.
And I think with seasoned professionals, it's easy to feel that your identity is tied to what you've done previously in your career, and we get so identity focused on, well, I've just been an accountant for a financial company my whole life, now I can't do this, and to your point, there's such a need. The moment right now calls for such diversity of expertise
Mhm.
that, but if you don't know where you fit, that's okay. That means that you just need to go and find out where you fit in. So what I tell people is there's plenty of environmental jobs boards out there. Go poke around, not necessarily to apply for jobs, but see what kind of things are out there. Put in some search be intentional about this. Sit down, write down some search terms that align with what you want to do,
Mhm.
plug it into LinkedIn, plug it into these job boards, and then see what shows up. And then explore your networks and just speak with people. I mean, you went on basically 120 interviews over four
Mhm.
months to figure out, where you might fit in. And there's nothing stopping at this point. If you're a seasoned professional and you've been working for 5, 10, 15 years, whether you want to admit it or not, you have a network. I mean, you have a
Mhm.
network of coworkers, you have a network of professionals, you have people from educational backgrounds that you have a network. So this is the time to lean into those people. I would not take the approach of blindly applying to stuff on
Yeah.
LinkedIn or
Yeah.
Indeed, because you're at that point you're just relying on pure luck. And I don't think that's a great approach.
Yeah. I
Um,
got lucky, but you're right on on that. It is the I would agree.
so one last question I want to ask you. Do you have any kind of final words for people that are, thinking about entering this wonderful kind of space that you and I both occupy, sustainability, ESG, environmental? I just classify it as, working for the planet. Any words of encouragement for people that want to break into this space?
Yeah. So, I mean, near and dear to my heart is the climate change, the fight against climate change. And if you really want to be a part of this, okay. The bad news is we have a real crisis with climate change on our hands. But from a professional perspective, we are just at the beginning. It's not like are just fields and fields of professionals with the expertise needed to fix this problem. It's a gigantic problem, and there are not enough people that have the knowledge needed to fix it. So you're not competing against a world where everybody knows how to do this. There's plenty of room at the starting line. It may take you a little while to build up, but there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and I wish that weren't the case. I wish we weren't battling climate change, but it's not going away. Like that opportunity is not going away anytime soon.
We need all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Christine, thank you. You've said it all. I really appreciate you coming on here and dropping some insight bombs on us and really educating us on, and really inspiring, me with your background, but also, all I'm trying to do here is just get people encouraged to take that leap of faith that they can enter this space and join us in trying to make this place a better, just really healing the planet is really what I'm trying to accomplish here, one person at a time. Christine Yuri, General Counsel, Chief Legal Officer, Chief Sustainability Officer, Chief Content Creator on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
An awesome person out. Look her up on NG Impact on the website. Look her up on LinkedIn. Christine, thank you so much. Oh, and we didn't mention this, but Christine has awesome carousels on LinkedIn. So I would encourage you to go and check out what she's up to. Christine, thank you so, so much. You are awesome. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend. It's Friday over here, guys.
All right. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you. Hey, don't go just yet. If you like that episode, make sure to drop a like and a comment, and go ahead and subscribe to my channel and the podcast. Your support and encouragement gives me energy to continue producing these episodes. Next episode, I'll be interviewing Lauren Solano, a recruiter and talent scout in the life sciences career space. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and the podcast to receive a notification as soon as that episode drops. All right, that's it for now. Thank you and have a wonderful day.